Hey guys, Jeffries here, and welcome to what is essentially a tutorial video on how to create your own team on Football Manager 2014. Basically, I got a comment from a guy called James Perry asking me if I could show you guys how I made Jeffries United and how I used the editor. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to try and keep it as short and sweet as possible, and if you do have any more questions, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section below. I'll try and answer them either via a comment of my own or a message, or I'll make another video for you guys to show that one particular query. So this is the Football Manager 2014 editor, as you can see. In order to get this, you have to go into Steam, and then you go into Library. If you hover over the Library option, you can go down to Tools, and then you just scroll down there until you find Football Manager 2014 editor, and then you install it in the same way that you would any other game on Steam. And then once that's done, it should appear on the desktop. Double click on that and it'll take you into this. Now at the moment I've got just the default update database installed. What I'm going to do now is load my editor data, which you can see here is called Jeffries, because I'm creative like that. So now my editor data, all the changes that I have made to the default database have been added. Now before I go any further, I just want to say now, any changes that you do make to this database, when you go to save it, do File, Save Edited Data As. Always save it under a different name, so it becomes a different file. Because if you overwrite the original database, and then something bad happens, like you've missed something out and it all goes wrong, it's a lot easier to just get rid of that file and go back to the default and start again, than it is to have to try and go through every single detail, try and find what you did wrong and undo it. That's just my opinion anyway. Right, so we're going to create our own, well, I'm going to show you how to create your own team. I'm not actually going to create a new one because I don't want to mess up my database. But of all the things down here, you've got things like awards, clubs, cities, competitions, etc. What you do, say clubs, you go onto this, if you want to look up an existing team and edit them, you look them up on here. So for example, there's Jeffries United. The other thing you could do is add a new team, which you go to down here. You click add and it takes you into the new team screen. I'm going to show you that in a minute, because believe it or not, the first thing I do whenever I'm creating a new team is I create the stadium. And I will show you why in a second. So this is the Jeffries Arena at Goslin Sports Village, and it gives you an idea of how to set up a stadium. All you need to worry about really is this screen, because these screens are just if you want to change things. This thing here changes, it comes up on absolutely everything that you create, and it just shows you what you've altered from the default setting. So again, if something goes wrong, you can go back onto this screen, you can look through what you've changed and do like a trial and error to see if tweaking things makes it work again. Right, details. This is where you put the name of the stadium in. You can see I've done that. You put the city that it's in. Now owner, you leave this blank for now, and you come back to it. Seat colour, I chose the same seat colour as the team wears, the dark blue. I think it's more royal blue, but I'll call it dark blue. You could have the option to have it as a training ground, although I don't have that ticked. Capacity is 2,500 with a seating capacity of 250 with an expansion capacity of 25,000. So that's as big as it will get before either the council limit you or there's no longer room to expand further, in which case your board will then decide to build a new stadium. You then choose what kind of pitch you have, so grass. Pitch length, I've put it in yards. If you have it in meters, it will say there meters. 120 by 80 I've chosen, but that's just my default, what I go for. You guys can put in whatever you like within reason. Pitch condition, I think it's out of 200, so to have it as 150 is pretty good. Pitch deterioration rate is medium. Pitch recovery rate is 10. I think I left most of this as default. Yeah, and then you have all these little options here, like it can be covered, has a retractable roof, undersoil heating. Left all that blank. Nearby stadium I chose Broadhall Way because local rivalry with Stevenage. That's the only real reason. Right, now I've done that, I go back into database, I go to clubs. If you guys are making a team from scratch, you will go add, but obviously I've got my team existing, so I'll show you guys what I did. So this is the original screen. You choose the name, the short name, the 6-letter name, the nickname, the second nickname, where they're based, the city they're from, the year they were founded, their professional status, morale and reputation. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, this is the second time today I've recorded this video. The first time I did it, I went back to watch it afterwards and it was just a black screen because I'd set OBS up wrong. So I'm going to run through this as quick as possible because my voice hurts and I'm not exactly happy with how things went. So, reputation is how well known your club is around both the country and the world. Morale is how motivated your team is from the start, so players, staff, things like that. Status, I always set it to semi-professional because I think it's too much of an advantage to be professional playing in a semi-professional league, so I always have it semi-professional. The year founded obviously would be last year because we started in 2013. City, Welwyn Garden City. It's not actually a city, it's a town, so I don't know why it's called Welwyn Garden City, but this is my hometown, so I always set it to that. Again, a little bit of nostalgia and a bit of pride towards where I am from. Ownership, I have a chairman. You can have a president or a general manager, but that's continental and that's American, so I always have a chairman. Public limited company, I don't have elections or member owned or anything like that. Stadium, now here we go. This is why I do the stadium first, because now you can go onto this drop down list, search for the name of the stadium and pop it in there. And the reserve stadium the same, youth stadium same. Attendance, all of these numbers get scaled down once you start, so I just put them at these generic values. Training, good training facilities, not bad youth facilities. Finances, I set these as being quite high. Although when I went back to look at the league, because what I did was I created this team and then I went into the Skrill South, saw what team were doing worse financially, and then the backstory is that they got kicked out of the league due to financial misregularities and we got instated in their place. So I think it was Farnborough who I found weren't doing well on the old money front. So unfortunately for them, and sorry to their fans, they were the team that got kicked out of the league and I replaced them. But I've actually got the third highest transfer budget, but I've got the highest wage budget, and my balance is only $500,000 higher than the team next down, which is quite a vast amount. But when you look at the backstory again of the Monty Moneybags comes in and buys the club out and invests loads of money into it, to only be £500,000 richer than the next highest team, it's not a big amount really. I never tick this box to put my team in administration, and I never put myself in transfer embargoes. We own the stadium, so we don't rent it, although you can have that set as a rental fee if you wanted to. Average match ticket price, £15. Average season ticket price, £400. Number of season ticket holders, I hate this box here, because I put 50 in thinking 50 is quite a realistic amount for a non-league team. Surely it will rise as we go up the leagues, but I'm currently in the championship on the You Don't Want Anything with Kids save file, and I don't actually think the season ticket number has gone up that high. I think it's on 250 now or something ridiculous, which, considering our stadium can seat about 7,500 people now, to have 250 season ticket holders is just absurdly low. Really, really low. Other income. All of these I've left as blank because these really are for clubs with history. We haven't got these. Competitions. Well, they're in the Skrill South. I put the English Southern League Premier Division as our last division, which I believe is the next division down from the Skrill South. Again, the story is Farnborough got kicked out and we got promoted from the Southern League Premier Division to replace them. Which, you know, that can happen. It does happen. Last position, we haven't noted any of these down. Weekend home match day is the Saturday and the midweek home match day is Tuesday. So again, that's cool. Regional divisions, left that blank. Tactical attributes, I've filled this in very, very lazily, so you guys can do it entirely your own way. Depending on what values you put in here, and also depending on who your board members are, that mainly dictates what kind of style they'll be wanting you to play. Supporter profiles, again, very lazily filled in. Chances are, if you've supported a team that's been in the position that Jeffreys United have been in, you're going to be quite loyal and passionate and patient, so that's not too unrealistic. Affluence and temperament, I'm not really sure what they do. I just put them as 20. Contract types, I left blank. Mainly because I didn't really understand why you'd want to change that, because the game defaults is pretty good. Kits. Whatever you do with kits, you need 5 things. You need a shirt. Ugh, this did this before. An icon, text, shorts, and socks. Those are the 5 things you need. I put them in that order because that's the order they appear on the drop-down list, as you can see. I put extra shorts and socks in case there's kit clashes, but the home shirt is always that. If you really want, you can set up a different home shirt and have it set for different competitions. So in this case, you could have one for the league and one for the cup. I won't bother with that because that's incredibly unrealistic, never been done before as far as I'm aware. So leave that blank. Away kit and third kit. Again, you can see I've come up with an alternative for shorts and socks, but again, the top 5 things: shirt, icon, text, shorts, and socks. And then I've got the goalkeeping kits as well. The only thing I've taken off here is the text, because you don't need the text really. If you're what was I going to say? If you're a goalkeeper, you don't need the text because it's the name of the team, not the name of the keeper, that gets affected. And there's our away kit, bright pink and yellow, which I don't think actually gets seen that lot, and you don't want anything with kids. I never made a third kit. Right, staff and players. You can choose to fill in these, or you leave them blank and let the game do it for you. I chose to fill mine in just so that everybody had a story. They've all got backstories. Monty Moneybags bought the club. Jessica Strictly is like the Karen Brady to Moneybags. She's the managing director, keeps the club running while he pumps the money in. And Francis Grand is just an old friend who also runs the Monty Moneybags businesses with him and therefore is trusty. He's come in as a director. Coaches, we've got David Youngman, who's our head of youth development, and Gerard Huntington, who's our assistant manager. Scouts and physios, we've got Jacques Olivier, who's our scout, and Peter Grange, who's our physio. And then we've got the players. Now I'll run through very quickly with you how to create players. Bobo. Double click on him. There we go. Now there's 2 ways you can add players to an existing team. You can either go onto the add option, which we saw at the bottom, I think it was about here, or you can do it the way I'm about to show you. So this is the create a player screen. If you want to go onto it from the database, you go database, people, and then you go add player, and it takes you to the screen we were just on. You choose the name, first name, second name, common name. Now this is like Javier Hernandez is known as Chicharito. That will be his common name, so that goes in there. Or, like Ronaldinho, Robinho, that's their common name, so that will go in there. And then their full name will be put in these boxes here. And then their full name appears at the bottom here. Bobo, although he's Bobo to me, he's Julio Santos Bobo de Silva. That's his name. You then choose their type, so again, he's a player. Ethnicity, hair colour, and skin tone. You then choose their date of birth, their city of birth, their nation of birth, which is automatically chosen when you choose their city of birth, their nation that they want to play internationally for. You can choose to give them an agent if you wish, but I've left that blank. And then you can choose whether they're declared for their nation or not. Well, obviously Bobo will be declared for Brazil because he is Brazilian, so that's that. If you leave that unticked, then in theory Bobo could declare for England because he would be living in England for 5 years playing for Jeffreys United. But I decided to have him as playing for Brazil. He has not had an international retirement, so that's left blank. His international retirement date is, again, left blank because that's entirely up to him whenever the game decides he wants to retire. And retiring after spell at current club, no. All of this I've left blank as well because it doesn't have a second nationality. Contract. Now, this is where you can add a player to a club. So here you've got club, Jeffreys United. Again, like I said, whenever I start on the editor, the first thing I create is the stadium. The second thing I create is the club, and then I create everybody associated with the club, like coaches, players, etc. Because it's just a case of going club onto this drop down list, you go search, you type in Jeffries in my case, or whatever the name of your team is, and then it comes up, you put it in, and they're registered with your club. I gave them a 10-year contract, although that gets scaled down, because within the first 6 months normally they've signed a new contract, which takes that into a more realistic number. £100 a week wages, which isn't bad to start with. Full time. That might get changed by the game if you've got a semi-professional team. It might get changed to part-time. I can't remember off the top of my head. Squad numbers. I don't give them an allocated squad number, but I give them a preferred squad number. So Bobo's is 12. And if any of you have watched You Don't Want Anything with Kids, you'll see that that is indeed his squad number throughout. These ones here, again, I leave empty because I don't really know what I'm doing, especially with this one. He's not in the MLS, so he doesn't have anything to do with MLS. Person data. Now I filled Bobo's in quite lazily. The strategy I used was I created the team on PES first, and Bobo and Delamond were my star players, so they were rated 90 plus for everything. But the rest of the team, say someone had a rating of 50, or let's make it 55. 55 for pace. The way I translated that into Football Manager was I took that number, divided it by 10, and then added 10 to get it out of 20. So if your pace is 55, then that becomes 5.5, 15.5, and then I rounded it up to 16. That might sound like he's become superhuman, but if I show you on this screen, you then have this, current ability and potential ability. And you can see it ranges from 10 to 200. So potential ability is how good they can become. So in Bobo's case, he has 19 on everything. So his potential is to achieve 19 on everything. His current ability is how good he currently is. And you can see it's roughly half that. Although I think it starts at slightly less than that. I think Bobo actually starts at 8 across the board. Maybe 10. And that's where you scale it back down again to a more realistic value. And it's a good system, it's worked. You can see I've created a pretty good team. However, they do still lose matches. They are human. Reputation, I just filled in random numbers here, 25, 50 and 25. They do become quite popular around the world though because of their abilities. So, again, that's entirely up to you what you put in there. And obviously height, weight and how good they are with their feet. It's entirely up to you. Positions, you then rank where you want them to play out of 20. So in this case, he's ranked 20 out of 20 in the attacking midfield positions, and then 15 out of 20 across the midfield and striker. And then if you come to this top bar here, it shows you what positions they'll be able to play naturally. You can fill some of these in if you like you can have him 10 out of 20 for a right back, and then it won't come up on here, but once you get into the game, you can start retraining them to play in that position. Any of you who've watched the Basics series, you'll see how to retrain players, and so they can play in more than the positions that you've given them. And it also gives you their favoured roles. So in Bobo's case, winger, advanced playmaker, and inside forward. Now all of these I filled in as being 19 out of 20, but you can fill them in however you like, however good you want your player to be. Goalkeeping I've left blank. Preferred moves. Now you tick these boxes as to what you want your player to do. So in Bobo's case, he does quite a lot of things. Again, this is entirely up to you. How your player performs depends on which of these boxes you tick. Injuries and bans I've left blank because I don't want him to get injured or banned through my control. I'd rather he did it off his own back. And then relationships. You've got favourite people, dislike people, favourite clubs, dislike clubs, etc. Again, I've left that blank. In theory, I could have put favourite clubs as Jeffries United, and then he'll be less likely to leave. If any of you have watched You Don't Want Anything with Kids, you do know what happens with Bobo. I'm not going to give anything away on here. So I could have put favourite clubs in, and least favourite clubs and things like that, but I decided to leave it blank, because I decided, whatever happens, happens kind of thing. That's basically it. Everything else here I've left blank, and then you've got here the changes. So the first change obviously was he was created, and then all these boxes were filled in. So that's basically it, guys. the last thing I would say to do is, once you've created your team and you want to add them to a competition, so for example, I added M4J3FFR135 United to the Skrill South, so I went onto this list, typed in Skrill, went on to Skrill South, and then you go on to Teams, and you can see M4J3FFR135 United are at the bottom here. Farnborough, I think it was, I kicked out, I can't remember if it actually was. They were down here. I then went on to this, so they were listed by balance. Farnborough were at the top of the list here, which meant they had the least money. Therefore, they were the likely candidates for the financial irregularities, got kicked out the league thing. So I just selected them and clicked remove. What happens if you don't do that? If you have more players in... No, sorry. If you have more teams in the league than the league is allowed, not only does the league become unplayable, but in past experiences for me anyway, the nation also becomes unplayable. So you won't be able to choose any team from England, because essentially there'll be a bug in the game, which is there's more teams in a league than is allowed. That's why I remove a team. And the reason I don't create a team from scratch is because of this here and this here. So for example, if I was to change, let's say Bishop Stortford into M4J3FFR135 United, it doesn't matter what I did in the editor, unless I find a way to remove this, which I don't know off the top of my head how to remove this licensed kit. That will always appear, even if I change these colours here. And then the badges, that will also always appear, unless I find a way to remove it. And again, I don't know how to do that. So yeah guys, that is basically it. That is how to create a team from scratch on the editor. Like I said, I've gone through it pretty much as quickly as I can. If you do have any other questions or queries, don't be afraid to ask. Let me know as soon as you have these questions, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, either through a message or a comment or another video. But you know, I hope I've helped you guys. If any of you make some really cool teams, feel free to send me links to the teams, show me the videos, or however you've done it. I'll be very interested to see what you guys can come up with. Right, time to round off this video, I think. So thank you very much guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, be sure to click the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to my channel, thank you guys for your continued support. And until next time, I will see you soon.